Winning Wednesday here at yfelive.com for another Jenn Cast, the daily live webcast that happens every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We shoot for 15 minutes sometimes. We go over. Today, I'm really going to keep that 15-minute mark. Just watch me. So it's Winning Wednesday, and I'm going to be winning by doing 15 minutes. So Winning Wednesday, basically what we do is talk about headlines, people, services, awesome things that are winning. And oh my gosh, you know what? I have winning cues. I almost forgot that, you guys. You're like, what is going on?
Wow, winning.
Oh my gosh, my 50-year-old mother is in the background going, you're supposed to go like this. Here.
Winning.
And one more.
Winning.
Okay. So very excited about those. Let's talk about our first winning headline. We're talking about winning headlines today, people that are in the news that are winning.
Winning.
All right, so it's the little things that count. So the first thing is an Elle magazine. I mean, this is all over the place, but I liked the Elle magazine take on it. It's written by Jessica Gross. She's talking about a Pantene Philippines ad that has been tearing up, she says, the lady internet. I could comment on that, but I'm not because I like the article. So scrolling down just a bit, let's go ahead and check out the article or the video in case you guys haven't seen it so that we put some context into what's being said or commented on the lady internet about it. Hold on, let me make sure I've got all of this queued up right. Okay.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, and their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Mad world.
Movie again. But basically, what they say at the very end is something like ditch the labels, that type of a thing. And so people online are having some real issues with it because basically they're saying, Pantene, you're using feminism basically in order to sell your products, which they're not too happy about. And I think, my opinion is winning for Pantene, as is Jessica Gross. She comments and says, great ad, that type of a thing. She says, if this ad can reach people who aren't so knowledgeable about feminist tenets and make them think about double standards at their workplace, isn't that a net positive? And I agree, yeah, it is. And I think it's also funny that these bloggers are coming out and saying boo against feminism or using that label in order to sell something. The video made me feel something. It made me feel, proud or, I don't know. So I just think all in all, Pantene winning on the viral video ad. It's for the Philippines, which I think is interesting. Why Philippines? I don't know very much about the Philippine culture, or even what's going on with putting an ad out right now with Philippines. So you guys will have to fill me in on the comments with Pantene and the ad and where it's running and what its place is. So definitely weigh in on the comments about the Philippines ad. She mentions that Sheryl Sandberg, it's the big headline in here, is that Sheryl Sandberg approved, said, yes, this is a lean-in item of the day, and used that to kind of juxtapose what other authors are saying and saying, Sheryl Sandberg is this leader of women, the feminist movement right now. But I think feminism is going through an interesting evolution right now of what it really means to be a feminist and that label in of itself, right? So anyway, weigh in the comments. Tell me what you think. Another person, we're talking more about fashion and beauty. Another one that's winning is featured in Bazaar today. Chanel names a new face. The Paris Dallas collection campaign had to go to an American girl. And who is it? Kristen Stewart. So I think this is interesting because I don't know too much. I mean, I'm not a fashion expert. I love to follow it, of course, like most people. But at the same time, I wonder what the deal is with the face of Kristen Stewart on things. I'm not someone that's a fan of Twilight. I don't know too much about that. So again, if you're Ursula, this is one of those things that I would love to have you weigh in on. Why did they choose Kristen, or that's her name, right? Kristen... What's her name again? Kristen Stewart to be the face of this campaign. It's just an interesting choice, I think. And then also choosing who is representing your campaigns. I just read an article in the New York Times about the Carrie Underwood performance in Sound of Music and how she didn't have these the same acting caliber that others could have had in fulfilling the role. And the New York Times, the producer was commenting that she brought the fan base, essentially. They had 18 million viewers because in large part because of Carrie Underwood. She brought her fan base. And so that's definitely something you have to consider when you're putting someone in. I didn't really know that Kristen Stewart had a fan base, though, or what people perceive her as, because I kind of look at her as the Twilight girl. So I don't know. Again, weigh in, tell me what you guys think. Finally, the last story in fashion. As far as headlines, people, so Kristen Stewart was winning. She just got this awesome piece. Pantene's definitely a winner today in my books, maybe not yours. Definitely weigh in the comments. Nordstrom is nation's favorite. This is in Forbes. Nordstrom is nation's favorite fashion store, but Kohls wins for business attire. Really interesting because I actually went with my husband to buy him a little work outfit. I don't think he would call it that. He hates shopping. But we went to Kohls, and I don't shop at Kohls that often. I go mainly for his clothes, actually. And I was so impressed by the experience, actually. It was a really nice, like, department type, like what I remember JCPenney's being when I was a kid type experience when you walk in. There's customer people around that could help you. Nice, like well-priced, good quality menswear, and it's placed in a nice way for being like a discount department store type of a piece. But what they said that they did really well at both Nordstrom and Kohls are doing well is loyalty programs and also returns. They make the return as simple as possible, and they make loyalty something that is felt and is given freely to them. So, how can we take those two examples from Kohls and Nordstrom and pull them into our own business? How can we make our returns, whether it's a return, a money back, something like that where someone changes their mind, how can we make it as simple as possible? And I know Marie Forleo, she talks about that a lot in her videos, as well as a lot of coaches who offer services, and the idea that when you purchase something, it should be an easy exchange. I know there's a number of people, though, that don't do that. There's a strict no return policy. And so definitely that's another subject I'd love to hear your comments on. What do you do? What's your return policy? What happens when someone purchases a service from you? Is it I'm going to hold this deposit, it's non-refundable? How clear are you about it from the very beginning? So kudos to Nordstrom and to Kohls. That's fantastic. And then finally, actually I've got a couple more. But those were in fashion. And now we're talking about like tech, investors, Shark Tank. I don't know how else you want to say this. But so apparently, this is some interesting stuff. Mark Cuban, and this is the second story I've read about this guy. A 26-year-old founder, basically it says, landed Mark Cuban's money essentially through a cold email. And we've talked about this last week. How can you get in front of influencers and be strategic about who you're talking to and building relationships with online? And you'll have to go back to it. Corey Freeman was my guest co-host, and it was talking about we talked about, gosh, what was that company, Corey? It was in Fast Company, I think, and interesting enough, he said something like, you email someone that's of influence or that has a busy schedule, and you give them something. You say, I'm asking this of you, and in exchange, I'll tell you about this. And so the line that this guy used, it's for the Zebra. It's an insurance agency. Let me see if I can find it. It said, it all started with a cold email. The subject line was, want to disrupt the insurance agency. So I think that's really interesting that it was simple and sweet. And you know what's funny is that over the weekend I read an article by that was a Q&A with Seth Godin. Fantastic article. You all have to read it. I'll link up to it because I don't remember where it's at now. I think it's on Inc. maybe. And Seth Godin says, or the guy asks him, what's the deal with the short questions or short responses? And Seth Godin says they're good responses, or if I didn't make them short, then they wouldn't be as good, that type of a thing. It shows that he spent a lot of time on it. And I think the same thing is true of this subject line, right? The idea that this guy went back, edited it probably a few times, got maybe people's opinions, because you don't have that many chances to get in front of this guy. Cold email, want to disrupt the insurance agency. So this is the first example that I can remember of him investing in a similar manner. That was in like Forbes or Inc. or one of those, was for bro tips. Do you guys know what I'm talking about that are watching live? So it's the... it's that app, Bro something. They did a similar tactic where they cold emailed him out of the blue and was like, let's go into this together. And I can't remember if it was already out there. I'll have to search for the article and link it up to this video. So if you're watching live, make sure that you check out the replay. This is episode 23 of Jenn Cast. So again, it's Winning Wednesday if you're just joining us now.
Winning.
I'm getting a little bit better at this whole sound cue thing. And the next one I wanted to talk about, which I don't know is how legitimate this is, but it's in Huffington Post Business, first of all. And it's commenting on a survey or a report that is done that compares the elasticity. Let me make sure I get the technical term right, because this isn't something I've heard of as far as the term goes. Intergenerational earnings elasticity. So the idea that you're born poor, you can become rich by the time you're an adult. And the probability of that from the US versus Canada. And so what this report is finding is essentially that Canadians are actually more prone to be able to be born into a poor family and to rise into richness. Whereas in the US, you're more likely to be born rich, stay rich, type of a thing. And I thought it was interesting because they're basically saying, what about the American dream? Is that really possible? So I want to get your opinions on it, because I feel like just doing a report and a survey on it, I don't know, does that comment on our system and how maybe we're still in this industrial revolution type thing? You get a job, you get trained for something, and then you kind of just like perpetuate what you've been raised with, what's around you. Does the American dream still exist in the US? Is it true for you? Were you raised in a different setting and then were able to break out of it? I mean, what does that look like? And why is it different in Canada? Is it really different in Canada, first of all? So many things we could be discussing here, but like I said, I've got one more minute. I am sticking to this 15 minutes. You're gonna be so proud of me. So the last one is just a fun little thing. I want to teach you how to win the internet today. This is true. This is how you're gonna win the internet. There's an article in TechCrunch that is basically saying, I'll just show you the headline because it's pretty self-explanatory. Trouble at Yahoo, partial webmail outages hits day 2, surprise small business websites, shutdowns, anger customers. So I thought this was a very timely article for those of you in the room that are going through something similar. So essentially what happened at Yahoo, gosh, it's 10:15. What happened at Yahoo is that their hosting department, so the webmail thing aside, the hosting piece, they had some kind of agreement with AT&T, and that changed. And so basically what they're having to do is change things up a little bit, and some websites have gone down as a result of it. And so customers are getting frustrated because Yahoo's not talking back. As someone that has recently had their hosting company acquired, I can tell you that I'm sure Yahoo, and I've gone through this too personally, when you have an internet service, it goes through a number of acquisitions, right? This is just kind of the nature of the industry. Exchanges are happening. Even like your sales agent, if you're like with a larger hosting company where maybe you have a rack or you have your own server, your own personal person that probably helps you with customer support, he might leave. She might leave. The company might sell or be exchanged, that type of a thing. Know who it is that you're doing business with, first of all. This is how you're going to win the internet. Know your passwords. Keep it on file somewhere that's safe, protected. Don't just put it in a Google Drive. Protect your information first of all, but know that you have everything, your control panel, FTP, website access to emails, passwords, all of those things. Keep them on file. Yeah, know what domain names you've registered. This sounds simple, but when you're a busy business owner, you're busy. You have your focus other places, right? So essentially, these customers are frustrated because, it might legitimately be Yahoo's fault for not alerting them, but sometimes their email address changes. So if you're registered with a specific domain name, make sure all of your email addresses in that registration are current. So, easy way to win the internet today. Hopefully you guys will all take advantage of that little tip. Otherwise, weigh in on the Sheryl Sandberg piece as far as, feminism, Pantene goes. Weigh in on Kristen Stewart. Why is she the face of Chanel's new campaign? I would love to know. Loyalty programs, that type of a thing. Tell us what you're doing. And then finally, what about the American dream? What is your takeaway on that too? Find the replays on YouTube, on iTunes, on youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com by searching for Young Female Entrepreneurs, and we'll come up. Thank you so much for watching live. I love it when you guys show up live. I love it when you watch the videos. Definitely send me your feedback, though. If you don't like something, let me know. Otherwise, come back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We've got a great guest. It's going to be super fun, 15 minutes. See you later. Thank you.